Hey, Rainbow here, and welcome to my channel. Look at what I'm going to take out today. I'm pretty excited about this one. This is a 2023 Ducati Diavel V4. I have been waiting a long time to get my hands on one of these. When I had an opportunity, I didn't have my camera equipment, and now I finally am able to get my hands on one of these absolutely gorgeous bikes. Let's take a look at the specs, and let's get started. Well, I'm just hoping that the weather cooperates. You are looking at a 2023 Ducati Diavel V4. All right, this can be yours with a starting price in the United States of $26,695. That's where they start. Now, Ducati calls this particular bike a muscle bike, and it's listed as a medium range touring. Okay, not long distance, but medium range touring. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that once I get to put more time on it and see how I feel with the seating position. So compared to previous models, this one has a weight reduction. You know what? There's so many different models, it's hard to say what kind of weight reduction it is. It's a couple of kilograms at best. So this has, just like many of the other V4s, ready for this? The V4 Gran Turismo engine. Of course, for those that don't know, that's an 1158 cc's. And just like all the other V4s that are the Gran Turismo, it's about 168 horsepower. That's going to be at 10,750 RPM. And the torque is 93 foot-pounds of torque, about 126 Newton meters at 7,500 RPM. Now, dry weight, 211 kilograms, 465 pounds. But let's talk about wet. 236 kilograms wet, or about 520 pounds. Now, what makes this bike really cool for a lot of people, it's really like a muscle cruiser. Therefore, the seat is much lower. The seat goes down at about 31.1 inches. For those on the metric, which is where we all should be, that's about 790 millimeters. Now, this may be controversial, but I absolutely love this. This is part of the exhaust. It's a stainless steel exhaust, and of course, which means it's not light, but the stainless steel exhaust with 4 exit pipes. There they are. Reminds me of kind of like a Gatling gun, which reminds me, for those that may have been in the Marine Corps or in the service like me, of the GAU 2B, which is what I shot on off of the Huey helicopter when I was a door gunner, and that is 4,000 rounds a minute. In this case, it's pushing out the air from 168 horsepower. 6-speed transmission in here, 6-speed, let's call it gearbox, okay? And it has a quick shift up and down. And what I'm going to tell you about this quick shift is that it is smooth, very smooth, extremely smooth. Of course, this is a chain drive, unlike the older, what were they? I think they were the X Diavels that were belt driven. Anyway, you know, if you're gonna have something powerful, you want a chain on it anyway. So this has a hydraulically controlled slipper clutch. I'm near Fort Lauderdale Airport, so Executive Airport. That's why you have that noise in the background. Let's continue. Now, this has a very well hidden aluminum monocoque frame, and the front forks are 50 millimeters, a little beefy, and fully adjustable according to, guess who? Yeah, Ducati. All right. Now, front wheel, 3.5 inch by 17. It comes with a Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3, which is a 120/70 ZR17. All right. And while I'm here, let me talk about these brakes. This is the Brembo Stylema, and that's about a 330 millimeter dual on both sides. Well, that certainly is one big beefy tire. This has a fully adjustable monoshock that you can see there. It has a single-sided swing arm, which we saw earlier, which looks really awesome. Rear wheel, 8 inches by 17 inches. So the same light alloy cast as the front with the frame. And this also has on it the Diablo Rosso 3s. This one, though, is a 240/45 ZR17. And it's actually easier to see from this side. Of course, this is a single 265 millimeter Brembo 2-piston brake caliper in the back. So this gorgeous tank here holds about 20 liters, otherwise known as 5.3 US gallons. Now, there are 4 riding modes for this bike, and the 4 riding modes that you can see on this 5-inch TFT are Sport, Touring, Urban, and Wet. And that's kind of surprising to me, because Sport, Touring, and Urban would be enough because they're so customizable. Because to me, like on the Multistradas, Urban is essentially the wet mode. So for this to take it to another mode and add in a wet mode, it's kind of impressive, but it's something I guess you're going to go to when you need it. When I was riding it over here, I was like, man, I thought this bike would be more powerful. I looked down and I realized I was actually in wet mode. So we're going to take this thing for a ride, and we're going to take it for a ride in sport mode as always. Beautiful styling. And let's talk about a couple other things as far as the safety features on this particular bike. It has the power modes in addition to the riding modes, which means you can adjust the engine. It has cornering ABS, Ducati traction control, Ducati wheelie control. And for a longer, heavier bike like this, you would think, why do you need wheelie control? Well, they have it on here because this thing probably wants to shoot off of the line. And it also has the famous Ducati brake light, which, please somebody help me out there because I'm not 100% sure. I believe that has to do with engine braking, putting on the rear light. Well, all of those specs are really nice. Anyone can look them up. But more importantly, let's take this for a ride and see how it feels. Okay. What I do like about this is it has the, the wireless key. So down here you have this little button. You press that lock button, it'll turn it on. You don't have to sit there and put your fingers in there and turn it on or off. You can just use it there. All right, and fire it up. All right, so I'm going to change riding modes. That's the first thing I'm going to do. And we're going to take this right to sport mode. And now we can take this bike for a proper ride. So let's get moving. All right, well, I'm back in the wind tunnel. Some of you don't like this audio. Not much I can do about it for now. I got to figure out how to fix this. Whoa, we got some power here. Holy crap. Yeah, I'll tell you, wet mode really tones this thing down. Wet mode certainly tones it down. Super nimble here. Let me warm the tires up a little bit on this little circuit here, see how it feels. Now this has about a 31-inch seat height, and as far as that's concerned, I think it's good for just about anyone, and it's in a pretty decent seating position. I think if you're taller and you have longer arms, you may be a little more comfortable on this bike than I am. I can feel myself leaning forward a little more than I wanted to with this bike, and that's just, I guess it's getting it somewhat of an aggressive position so that you're not caught up by the wind or I don't know what they're thinking, or maybe it's just for someone like a little bit taller, but yet the feet are in, I'm going to call it mid controls, but they're slightly forward for mid controls, or they're very true mid controls. I think they're slightly forward, but they are certainly not forward controls like you would find on the old X Diablo. But very comfortable so far, other than I feel like I'm leaning a little bit forward here. Let's turn that on. And of course, with my 32-inch inseam, very, very, very easy to flat foot this particular bike. You can really feel the power in this bike. I'm used to this engine, but not in this bike, because of course this is the same Gran Turismo that I have, oh gosh, right now probably 38,000 miles of experience on between the two different, not 30, maybe about 36,000 miles worth between two different Multistradas with the same engine. Now, as far as the service interval, these are spring valves, so they are not Desmo, which helps you out for
your major servicing for your valve lash, and that's going to take it to about 37,000 miles or 60,000 kilometers, whichever one you use. And I am surprised, like, it's a pretty nimble bike. It seems like it has good handling because it's heavier with a little bit of a longer wheelbase. You know, we're not nimble like we would be in a smaller sport bike, and it's certainly not as nimble as the Multistrada Pikes Peak, probably because of the extra height. You know, we're able to zip it around, but it is very nimble nonetheless. And let's try to do some pretty heavy braking. Let me try to do some braking coming in here and see how it feels. Okay, so the brakes must be great because the ABS kicked in really quick. Some of the Ducati bikes, it takes a little bit for the brakes to kick in. I'm sorry, for the ABS to kick in. Let me open this up a little bit so I don't sound like I'm in a horrible tunnel. And we'll continue in a second. All right, let's check out some acceleration here. Just get around this corner, brand new bike. I'm not going to push it too hard. Wow, you can really feel it pulling. Really feel this bike pulling. And I'm not trying to abuse it here because, you know, it is a new bike that's not broken in, so I have to take it easy. Oh shit. All right, if you're wondering what happened and just now, why I said oh shit, my leg, the bottom of my jeans got hung up on something near the pegs, and it kept me from taking my foot off. So I'm a little concerned about that. I've never had that happen before, so I'm a little curious of what exactly I got hung up on. Really don't know, but it's not a good feeling when you think you're going to fall over on a bike that's not yours, that's brand new. That was a little odd. Outstanding acceleration, really good acceleration, very smooth. And again, the quick shifter on this is absolutely amazing, very smooth. It's one of the smoother quick shifters that I've really on almost any bike, especially for Ducati. I've had some really nice quick shifters on some Yamahas and so on, but this one is pretty darn good. I'm rather impressed with the smoothness of the quick shifter. So let's talk wind protection. There's not much. All right, going here in the mid-70s, it actually feels pretty good. Not too bad. It's actually not bad wind protection. It's not until you really start getting up there over 100 where you really have to tuck in and go full, you know, and lean forward. But in normal cruising speeds, man, I gotta tell you, the wind is really not bad. I'm doing 85 and it's really not bad as far as that's concerned. But you get down into the normal range of the mid-70s and stuff, and that puts you in a pretty good position, and it feels pretty darn good. So I gotta tell you, acceleration is good. How nimble it is at the higher speeds is really good too. I know I talked about it earlier at the lower speeds, but at the higher speeds with these wider handlebars and so on, seems like it really has some nimbleness. All right, another light to sit and wait at. Okay, so what is this bike for? Well, it's a cruiser. So this is an awesome bike for cruising, going up and down A1A, cruising locally. I think it would actually be a really awesome commuting bike. Wouldn't have any problem at all taking this bike on a commute because it's nice and comfortable. Again, it's a medium range for cruising is what it talks about, And with that being said, I can see why. It depends. I mean, if you're a taller guy and have longer arms, maybe you'd be a little bit more comfortable. I just feel myself being pulled forward with this bike. It's kind of almost reminding me of the Indian Scout Bobber, you know, days where I was kind of felt like I was folded in half here. But not that bad. It is comfortable. I have to say that. It's just I feel myself being pulled forward. And if you're wondering, I'm 5'11" and a half, somewhere around there, and have a 32-inch inseam. My arms, when I buy shirts, I buy the cuff length, the 33 inches. So if that helps you kind of decide where you're at, if I was just had a little bit longer arms, I think it would be super comfortable. And I know this is the second time I'm bringing it up, but I just think that it's relatively important to talk about this. Now, the TFT, I will tell you, it's like a mini version of the Multistrada TFT. It looks like it's set up exactly the same. The buttons for doing things is very different. It doesn't we don't have the toggle switch, but it looks almost exactly like it. Everything's in the exact same location. It's just that the controls are a little bit different. All right, it's that time where we're gonna see what it feels like going over railroad tracks. Woo, my goodness, this thing has some get up and go. Yo, all right, what's this guy doing over here? Is he gonna U-turn into me? No, he's not. All right, see, slow down. Okay, so I usually go about 50 miles an hour or so over these railroad tracks, see what it feels like. Pretty good. Really no complaints at all. I think the suspension easily handled that, so that was actually quite comfortable. Got bounced around a little bit more than you would, let's say, you know, than like on a Multistrada, but it is really good. And of course, all of this stuff is customizable for your liking as far as your engine controls and traction control and wheelie control and all that other good stuff. Okay, turning radius wise, it felt pretty good. This is a very fun bike, and you hear that a lot on my channel, and I say that you hear that a lot on my channel, but this one in particular actually is quite the fun bike. Really is enjoyable to ride. Would certainly love to take this on a couple of trips. Would love to commute with this bike. So overall, man, I'm giving this a thumbs up. This is a great bike for those that like this style. If you don't like, Harleys or Indians, but you want a cruiser, this is pretty badass, like really badass for a bike like that. And I think this is certainly the bike for you. This is going to stand out, going to give you that low squatty cruiser type feel with the muscles, the way that this thing is contoured. And like we talked about earlier, it's certainly going to give you a decent amount of wind protection at normal speeds, and how often you're going to be going over 100. Now, a buddy of mine, Fabrizio, he got his and he took it to the track, and he did a track day with his Ducati Diavol V4, and he was absolutely thrilled with it. He said he had a great time. It was a lot of fun. Couldn't believe how sticky the tires were. So he really enjoyed himself taking this bike out. Of course, I think he'll take almost any bike to a track. This isn't maybe a bike that I would take to a track, but it would be a lot of fun at the track. I'm a little concerned with the size of that rear tire, and but it's got a lot of grip in it for sure, because you have a lot of surface area on that tire. All right, so this bike absolutely has some get up and go. It really has some gusto, and a fantastic, and I mean a fantastic cruiser bike, mid-range for taking trips. I mean, this is a great bike, and it's a Ducati. It looks good, it feels good, it's mechanically very smooth and sound. Let's see if I may have extended the forks. I'm not sure I got the front wheel off the ground on that one, but again, not mine. Don't want to push it too much. We'll see where we're at with that. So thank you, Ducati Forza, Two Wheels World in Pompano Beach, just north of Fort Lauderdale. And especially Ian for making sure that I always have a motorcycle to ride. Here they are right here. I appreciate it. This bike gets a massive rainbow thumbs up. Is it the bike for me? Nothing that I'm looking for, but I certainly wouldn't mind having a bike like this. I'm going to wait for this rally to pull out of here, and I'm going to take the rally spot. So speaking of rally, just so you guys know, I had some discussion with Ducati. They will be eventually providing me with a rally to drive, to take for a test ride for maybe 2 days, and that's going to be out in California. And but it's going to be for a couple months because the rally is such a hot ticket right now. Not easy to get them. All right, this is Rainbow. I appreciate it. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you very much, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.